Hi, welcome to Kettering Daily. Today is Thursday, February 4th. I'm Carrie Basson with the Kettering Schools, and my guest today is Scott Inskeep.
Good morning.
Our superintendent here for the school district. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Glad to have you here, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
And we're here to talk about something that is going to take place a little more than a month from now, which is an election, and part of that is something that the Kettering Schools are going to have on the ballot, which is a PI levy. Let's start with kind of explaining what a permanent improvement or PI levy is for those of our audience who may not be familiar with this type of levy.
Okay. We have two what I call pots of money. One would be the general fund. The other is what we can use for capital improvements or assets, which are those things that last more than 5 years. They are two separate amounts of money, and those are used for upkeep, maintenance, technology, security, safety throughout the district. And so the difference is that those funds are used for facilities and maintenance, and then we have another pot of money that's obviously for the for salary fringe benefits of the school district and additional expenses.
So operating versus kind of
Yes.
facilities and that kind of thing.
Correct.
And the permanent and permanent improvement refers to the fact that you can't use that money to purchase something unless it has a lifespan of more than 5 years.
That
And
is correct.
That is where the permanent comes in.
That's right.
And these are all terms that were coined long ago.
Before
not by
us.
us.
Correct.
Not by us, long, long ago.
That's right.
Okay. Now, the Kettering Schools have a PI levy in place right now.
We do.
Let's talk a little bit about that and why we're looking kind of to the future and making a change in the amount of that PI levy and how that pertains to a district the size of Kettering.
Currently, there's a 0.6 mil levy that is on the ballot. That generates about $600,000 a year for the school district. Like the program that we're involved with now, as well as many other programs that are going on throughout the school district, we're realizing that a lot of the funds that we have right now are not sufficient to keep up with what we need to do. That $600,000, yes, it's a lot of money, but today fixing a roof, one roof, a small portion of a roof, could cost us $600,000. So what we're looking at and what the board has approved is a additional millage to give us a bigger opportunity to be able to do more maintenance, more upkeep, and more progressive things in the school district.
And I know you and I have talked that our business manager, Ken Lackey, who kind of oversees that pot of PI money, has done a great job of kind of maintaining the school district on probably what isn't enough money to really handle a district with 12 buildings and the facilities that we have. I think we have something like 1.5 million square feet of roofing in
That's
the
correct.
Kettering schools, which might be hard for the community to kind of wrap their head around how much that really is. And you have a great analogy for how much space that covers.
Yeah, let me just say that I think what you said before about Ken Lackey being able to do the things that he's done. When I mentioned the two pots earlier, you can move money from your general fund to permanent improvement, but you can't move permanent improvement to the general fund. So what's happened is when there's been a necessity, that money has come out of the general fund, which then creates, I think, a pathway of more constantly having to go to the voters to ask for money. And so when we've looked at this, we think it's a very fiscally forward approach. It is one that I think will benefit the district for a long, long time. As you mentioned, when you look at the analogy of the school system's facilities, and it's a little over 1 million square feet of roofing. Well, Foyal Glass, who just moved into the old Delco plant in Moraine, which is in our school district, that is 1 million square feet. And so it really gives you an idea of how big our facilities are. And I think like any person who owns a home or has upkeep for their business or industry, that's what we're looking at, is taking care of the assets that belong to the community.
Absolutely. And that increasing that PI levy by a little bit is going to, as you said, be a fiscally conservative way of better maintaining our
Yes.
buildings and putting them kind of on a schedule whereby we're not Band-Aid approaching and kind
Correct.
of fixing things here and there as the money becomes available.
That's right. As you mentioned, we currently have that 0.6 mils. We are asking for 2.8 mils, and that is of new money. And that's something I think is important, that this is new. It is something that we're asking for. It would be a request that would be on the books for our community, and it would be there for a long time. And the design is to give us that flexibility to continue to keep our facilities where they need to be.
And I believe that if my figures in my head are correct, that's about an increase of about $8 a month.
That's correct.
For the owner of a $100,000 home.
That's right.
So
yes, it is.
It's not a huge amount of money, but it will provide what the district feels it needs to really be able to get on a schedule of maintaining our buildings.
Yes, and we're cognizant that anytime you go out and ask for new money, that, you know, it's tough for people. And the Kettering community's been so great about supporting Kettering City Schools and what we do for young people, and we hope that that'll be consistent for us this time also.
Okay. Let's get into, there's 4 main areas that we're hoping to kind of touch on with the funds that will be provided each year through this PI levy. And let's start with the first one, which is facilities and security in the district.
Right. Security is just so important, and we're trying to do the best we can with making our facilities very difficult to get into. We're also working on the technology, meaning cameras. We've worked with our first responders, meaning fire and police. They would like to be able to come upon these facilities, all facilities, and be able to see what's going on inside. So we would be looking at additional cameras throughout the district, additional surveillance both inside and outside, as well as the technology that continues to keep our students and staff safe.
Absolutely. The second area, which is a hugely important one, is technology and curriculum.
Yes.
And touch on that a little bit, because that is going to be a big investment in this district.
Absolutely. This year the district was able to put in place an $8 million straight A grant. So a lot of technology, a lot of the infrastructure of the district was upgraded, quite frankly, along with one-to-one devices for our students that were at no cost to our school district or to our students. But we realize in 36 months or 48 months, we're going to need to start replacing a lot of that technology. Also, we need to look at what's the future for technology in the school district, and we want to make sure that we have the funds to be able to continue that trek from where we are now to where we want to be.
Mm-hmm. And as much as technology is playing a part in the classroom today, textbooks are here to stay. We're
Yes,
still going
they
to
are.
have to be doing textbook purchases to make sure that our students have what they need in their hands to learn and be prepared for the 21st century.
Absolutely. I think we know that books and technology go hand in hand. And we don't know what that's going to look like. Is that class sets for our students? Mm-hmm. Is that looking at different types of technology? It's important to remember textbooks aren't always going to be paper. It may be textbook purchases for the download for technology. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at that, we want to make sure we have the funds to be able to purchase those also.
Absolutely. And our third kind of area that we're hoping to touch on with this PI levy is what we are kind of calling next level student programming.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we're filming today in our multimedia center here of our compact for our Career Tech Center. And what we're looking at is additional programming for opportunity for our young people to have better ability to move from the high school to the workplace if necessary. We've been approached by the City of Kettering to develop a partnership to have a fire safety course here at the high school. And basically what that means is that a student will leave this high school after their senior year and be certified as a fireman. And it's very important that we talk about the fact that it is going to be fire persons. Kettering Fire has approached us trying to make their department as diverse as possible, meaning both men and women. And we've had quite a bit of interest. And I really want to thank the City of Kettering because they've just been great partners with us. They've also been open to offering equipment and materials. They're constantly looking at upgrading their equipment, and they have looked at making that an in-kind contribution to that program. And so our goal is to try to have that in place by the fall of 2017.
Absolutely, and that's just one of the programs I know that Liz Jensen here in the Career Tech Center, the principal here, is looking at in terms of highly employable programming that they want to bring to students, and also in talking to the students to make sure that they're bringing programs here that the students are interested in pursuing.
Absolutely.
And that's one of, I think, 5 or 6 that she and her staff are kind of considering for expansion to
Right.
make sure that we're meeting the needs of really 40% of our students here at Fairmont who take at least a class in the Career Tech Center, if not enrolled in a program.
And one of our positives of that is trying to get more students involved. Right now, the facilities do not offer us the opportunity to have a place for that new program that we've described. So what we're looking at is possibly additional space here, looking at other commercial property that exists throughout the community.
Absolutely. And so we've got the Career Tech Center on one end, and at the other end, we've got kind of early childhood education and how important that has become and what we want to try to do here in Kettering in terms of meeting the needs of our littlest learners.
Yes, we do. Everything you and I are talking about today has all been based on community input and surveys that we've received, as well as staff input, family input, student input. And one of the things that our families have reached out to us is they would really like to have all-day programming, meaning all-day kindergarten. We believe in our neighborhood schools, and we want to keep them that way, but only approximately 2 of them currently have the space to be able to accommodate all-day kindergarten. So what we would be looking at is adding additional space to those buildings, as well as additional space for extensive preschool programming. One of the biggest problems with this whole discussion is that the state doesn't currently fund kindergarten programming. So we're working right now with our state senator, Senator Lehner, as well as representatives to kind of give us some input on how can we develop a better way to fund that. But in the event that it is not funded by the state, it makes us very, very, very challenged to try to make that happen here because of the expense that we would incur.
Absolutely. But as you said, that's something that the community has
Yes,
made,
they have.
They're made known loud and clear that that's something
Very
they're
much
interested
so.
in. Absolutely. And I know one other thing that we've talked about kind of looking at updating, improving, expanding is some of our performing arts
Yes.
facilities and things that we have here in the district to
Yes.
kind of bring those up to speed. And some of those, for instance, auditoriums haven't really been upgraded in a couple decades.
In
Or
2000
just patching here and there.
In 2002, when the district passed their bond issue, we passed the bond issue for major upgrades throughout the district. One of the areas that at that time was deemed to not necessarily need to be upgraded to the level that's commensurate with the expectations today is the high school auditorium here and the auditoriums at Van Buren and at Kettering Middle School. And so part of this initiative is to upgrade each of those areas with seating, with lighting, with soundproofing, modernizing the auditorium here at Fairmont High School, changing the way the stage looks, giving fly space for sets to be able to go up and down, more space for set development. And again, every one of these things that we've discussed today is opportunities for our students.
Absolutely.
Ways that they can be able to do things that may go and may help them have interest beyond high school, both personally and professionally. The other things that we're taking a look at too are furniture issues throughout the district, making sure that those continue to be upgraded for every building in the district, which I think is important too.
Absolutely. And you talk about opportunities. We have a large percentage of our students who are involved in athletics here in the Kettering schools, and that certainly is really the fourth area that we're looking at in terms of improvements through this PI levy.
Yes, it is. Right now, part of this process, we're looking at our football stadium, Roush Stadium, and that would be, of course, new AstroTurf for that facility. That is up for a reinstall. That's going to happen. And so we want to make sure we have that. We've been approached by the men's and women's soccer teams regarding AstroTurf at our men's and women's soccer field. We're looking at redoing the track that goes around that particular field, as well as bleachers on both sides of that. We've been approached around modernization of both our baseball and softball fields, as well as increased bleachers for our band students who sit on the south end of Roush Stadium. And for those of us that have been to the ball games, we know we have 330 kids, and we want to have them a safe place to be for all the games, as well as for competitions that happen there at our football
Absolutely.
stadium.
Lots of stuff we talked about today. Thanks so much, Scott.
Absolutely. Thank
If you
you.
have any questions, because we did give you lots of information, please get in touch with me at 499-1458 or at carrie.basson@ketteringschools.org. Always happy to answer your questions and to hear from you about your Kettering schools. We'll see you next Thursday on Kettering Daily.